The journey is what inspires me a lot. I think, teaching people, motivating, talking to clients. When we convert a new client to the house, it's always excitement. And we have weekly meetings with the entire team. It's rewarding, just getting the energy from the kids too, like from the people that are working with us.
Welcome to From the Ground Up, the podcast where we delve deep into the inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and their journey to build successful startups. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, and in each episode, I sit down with the founders to learn about their experiences, the challenges they faced, the lessons they've learned, and the insights they've gained while turning their dreams into reality. And super excited to bring to you today Vera Kopp, an MBA grad from Stanford, who is the founder of inCast.me, which helps connect digital influencers with brands. Companies you might know of like Uber, TikTok, PepsiCo, and many more. They help to create marketing campaigns with top influencers and generate significant results. Now, of course, you're much more engaged and you know your story much better than me. But Vera, we'll listen to you. Thank you for joining. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Jake. It's a pleasure. And it's very important to inspire other entrepreneurs and also companies that we have helped in the past with like data, right? When it comes to working with creators, it's very important to look at data, look at performance, ROI, and then make recommendations. And that's what we do at inCast. We have been operating since 2017, accelerated out of São Paulo startup farm and Google campus. We have hired today over 10,000 creators worldwide from Canada, Australia, Italy, UK, Latin America, Brazil in majority, and some of the brands that you mentioned, but TikTok being one of the number one companies. We structured long tail campaigns and growth strategies, which we can go in depth a little bit further.
Yeah, great. We'll dive deep into inCast. Tell us first, though, a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
Vera is a Brazilian at heart and soul. I spent half of my lifetime in Los Angeles. Moved there when I was 21, and my town is called Londrina, Paraná state of Brazil. But my heart is with the family, of course. But after living so long in LA, I can say like I'm more American than Brazilian.
Got it. Yeah, that's the case for a lot of people that have moved here. What was your first real job in Brazil that may have gave you an impact or influence in wanting to have that entrepreneurial lifestyle?
I think inspiration to become an entrepreneur came from my mother. She's a real estate developer. She buys and sells properties. We grew up like in a very small town in the south of Brazil. And she was a teacher. She was raising like 3 kids by herself. So it was a big inspiration for me. First job as a model, as a teacher, I was teaching kids how to do the runway. Back in the days, it was like 16. It was like a small acting and modeling school. And then I think back in LA, when I moved to there, went to learn English. I think the very first experience was sitting at a table with a big agent in Hollywood. You go like, oh, I want to sit there. I want to be, doing what she's doing. And I think for us women, thinking that we're capable of, executing and we're capable of doing, empowering ourselves, we just, get to do it and just do it. And here I am, 15 years later with 32 employees, 10,000 creators that we hired, and always looking for something new. So we're launching a new product called Rainmaker, which allows creators to book themselves some work and brands to direct contact creators. Because what we do with inCast is more of an agency service. We create these strategies, we scout creators, we manage all the content, and we provide the report. So we're offering a tool as a SaaS. They can go on their own and choose the creators they want to be working with, and creators can share their link and be self-booked. We call it like an Uber for creators.
That's great. And there's a lot of creators out there, so I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities to work with them. And we'll dive in a little bit more into what's in it for them as well as what's in it for the brands. Let's talk a little bit more about you before we get there. Entertainment, show business, modeling, acting is something you've done for a number of years. In fact, if I'm reading this correctly, you were at the Ford Modeling Agency for roughly in the 10-year range. And that experience of being in front of the camera on stage, really you selling yourself, what did you learn there and what impact have you been able to apply to your businesses today?
I think the first lesson is to learn to be resilient. From getting into Ford models was not an easy task. I applied and did audition and casting maybe 5 or 6 times. It was a 6th time. I was like, you know what, this has to work. And then I was just very persuasive to the booker. I said, let's give me a year. Like I know I can make you money, because at the end of the day, they're looking for models and girls that can bring more work to their, to their books. And resilient as well. Like when you go to auditions, it's a numbers game as a business, right? As a startup too. So the numbers game is like you have to make as many auditions as you can during a week. So there are weeks that we were doing 20 or 25 auditions and we're booking 2-3 jobs. It's the odds. You're not going to get every audition you go to. And on top of the first call audition, we have the second call audition where you meet the director, the producer, some of the casting members, they test chemistries and so forth. So that for me was more frightening. Being in a room with more people versus just being in a room with the camera and the camera guy. That's, that was the easiest part. And there's one specific job for me was like incredibly rewarding. I was a Budweiser girl for a year and a half campaign. My face was in the subways of New York City, buildings around me, and outdoors, billboards in LA as well. And they auditioned 5,000 girls.
That's wild.
They auditioned me 5 times. It was first call, second call, third call. I think the 4th call was in Vegas for a business trip. And they're like, oh, we need to see you on tape one more time. I was like, what is it? Like, I still look the same. It was less. I self-taped myself again, submitted, and then the director called me like, you got it. And they changed my hair to blonde. I was like, what did you want? It was incredible. So I accepted. And it was like, you say yes for everything. So they want to change the hair color? Yes. Let's go to New York to shoot there? Yes. Let's go to the snow? Yes. And the motive to be successful in life is just, go with the flow.
Be open to yes. I like it. Now, I lived in New York, in 98 time frame. Could I have seen that Budweiser commercial then, or is it, I'm older than you, so maybe it might have been much later, but just trying to put some time around when that happened for you.
I think it was 2004 and 5 time frame, and we were doing appearances an entire country on top of the ads. We were going from city to city. We went to the 15 major cities in the U.S. to do appearances, to meet and greet the fans. It was a World Cup promotion. It was just incredible. So that was 2004, right?
Yeah.
If you call it World Cup back reversed, and the date.
That's great. I know when you get a brand in the news or anywhere that you see or you hear your brand on commercials and whatnot, it's pretty exciting. What's it like personally when you see yourself on a billboard or you're walking down a street in New York or you're in a subway and you see your face? Like, what's that feel like?
It's surreal. It's really surreal. But now it's even more surreal to host events and teach people a lot of the things that I went through, like not only in the personal level, but career level. Facebook had a huge event for 5,000 people here in Brazil in October last year. And I was invited to be one of the guest speakers for small business, how to create content, right? How to create an ad using creators or authentic content. And being there and having authority within the segments that we've been, producing content for 5 years, we know a lot. But sometimes it's just being in front of other people and seeing your image on then, reports or the press after events. You're kind of like, whoa, I am real. I am really doing what I'm doing. Because I like to be in the office with people. Like I'm a day-to-day operations person. I'm not very, very close to my team. When you're out of the routine, on the daily routine, you get to see your face there. That's kind of, it's a little frightening and scary. But then it gives you the adrenaline. I want more. There, because then you get the company out there and it's not Vera out there, right? It's important for the business too.
Yeah, that's great. Now, When you launched inCast, we're going to dive into that more now. Did you do that through, I'm not sure if I read this correctly, 500 startups, or was it a different incubator or accelerator? Where did you get, what was the launching pad for inCast?
Here's a very long story. I moved to San Francisco back in 2005, and I broke my leg, so I couldn't do modeling work during that particular time. It was like 6 months long. Yeah, it was very like a bad injury. I submitted a business plan to build this platform to Startup Rio. And Startup Rio gave me $50,000 to, actually 50,000 reais, which is $10,000, to develop the idea and the platform and the marketing strategies and everything. And we did execute really well. A year later, I had 12,000 users, and we converted 3% into paying subscribers. But it was not scalable because the industry in Brazil, it's really, really small. So then a year later, I was part of, inCast was part of Startup Farm. Startup Farm is the biggest accelerator in South America, and they have really great, successful companies that have, exited through the portion of the last 3 to 5 years. And what I learned, I think, being in a room with 20 men as the only female founder, and I was alone, right? They had team members and they were working on business ideas for much longer than I was. It just gave me more empowerment and courage to just, be bold and be brave and just get through the churn rate of where startups fail in the first year. We booked the very first client. It was a big ticket, a huge celebrity in Brazil for 99 taxis, big competitor of Uber. And from that project, we scaled up. We got ByteDance, we got TikTok, and then last year, we're part of 500 startups. That's where the idea of Rainmaker was born. And I have a business advisor that took us to doing the roadmap for technology and the process of user interface. And then the tech team here in Brazil, I went through 2 tech teams, but the actual tech team that's working on the product now, they were able to capture all the functionalities that we need, and we operate as an agency and convert into the tech. So all the steps are seamless, and we're getting really good feedback from users.
That's really cool. So you really have 2 companies, it sounds like. Is that correct?
Three. Yeah, 2018, I was very brave. There was an opportunity to do an initial pop-up experience we call today Fi Digital, where we take people into an Instagrammable place like what you see back here. And we had Heineken and PepsiCo supporting us, being the partners and sponsors of the big installation. We received 60,000 people throughout the 25 unique spaces that we built. And then from there, we took to different malls. We went through 15 different malls. We probably have 120,000 visitors in total. And that company, Funcast, is expanding hugely this year. We're getting a lot of big event producers like Lollapalooza, The Town, after us for us to produce unique experiences for the visitors and for the brands.
Wow, that's wild. So you have 3 steps or 3 companies you're running at the same time. You must sleep about 2 hours a night. That's crazy.
No, it goes 6, but when I'm in LA, it's a little bit less because of the time difference. We're 4 hours or 5 hours from Brazil, but I can't complain. I have a great team, and my Brazilian team, they have people that are with me for 3 to 5 years, and it's just incredible to count with people. They're reliable, and they're really vested into the business.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit about inCast in terms of the idea. Where did the idea come from? There's a lot out there in social media and brands and trying to get eyeballs on products. What was it that came together for you? How'd that happen?
The name came from building a platform for actors and models as a casting platform in 2015. But in 2017, we found a niche space where social media was booming. TikTok was not around, right? It was only Instagram. So during the process of being in Startup Farm, we built a calculator. It was the very, very first calculator for pricing, because creators are getting demand for public posts They didn't know what to charge, how much to charge. Brands still don't know what to offer, and prices fluctuate. So when you have a benchmark for industries and for segments, so for beauty is one price, for technology is another, and for variety or food or comedy, it varies because we have more creators, or what we call a micro creator, a big creator in a tech industry. He only has 500,000 followers, where a macro creator in the beauty segment it's 20 million, 30 million. That's the relevance. So that gave us the know-how, and we were the number one platform where local brands, especially in Latin America, Brazil, were searching to get pricing and then inventory. We started managing 300, 500 creators in bulk for growth strategies for different brands. And that's when ByteDance was around, right? With different products, BuzzFeed, Bigo, like all those apps. So number one type of clients for us are video apps or touch-up apps, such as like Airbrush as well, and e-commerce, really big, like Shopee, Amazon, and local brands, right? Local e-commerce experience, Mercado Libre as well.
So if someone isn't in social media and they have kids that are influencers or on YouTube and TikTok all the time, and they have a following, what do you solve for them? What opportunities can you provide for that potential micro influencer or that growing influencer?
If they are into any of the paid campaigns, they will get a one-on-one support from our team members to really give more details on the brand they're working with, the brand strategy in depth. We call it a tutorial. And if the campaign is like longer, we do a tutorial on a weekly basis as well to make sure that the creator is speaking and writing about the brand with authenticity, right? Because at the end of the day, when you create content that's very authentic, we have more conversions for the brand. And what we give them, now we're giving more support on as they have an ability to book themselves to any jobs that are not from inCast, because the industry is huge, and then they get inquiries every single day on their DMs or like emails. So we give them a tool, an ability to direct book themselves and not get charged big bucks, because their agencies, they're charging 20 to 30% commissions. And in Rainmaker, it's free. So they can use the platform for free, and clients will pay 10% on top of their rate. We also have tips and the community building where other creators help those TikTok creators how to make great videos on TikTok in different segments, right? Communities for beauty, communities for comedy, pets, and they give support to each other as well.
That's great. What's the bigger challenge, getting the brands to sign up with your platform or getting the creators to fulfill?
Whoever has the money. And today we have a bigger competitive landscape. So it's challenging to acquire the brand. The ticket sizes are from $50,000 to $150,000 US. So that is like a long tail conversion. It takes 3 to 6 months to bring a new client. So our account executives need to keep a relationship with those marketing folks for a very long time, and really showing and giving them benefits of like working with us and showing cases and case studies of very successful projects we have worked on.
What do the brands get? What do they expect when they pay you that amount of money to come back to the company?
inCast gives them relaxation, peace of mind, and weekends and nights, because creators usually respond late at night and weekends, and they're not very structured, right? Sometimes they take 3 to 5 days to respond or to give us the content. So we give them ROI. At the end of the day, we'll put together 100, 300, 500 creators for a specific project. We'll manage the scouting, the content management, and the report. 90% of the time, we always get the ROI they're looking for. And that can be per CPM based or downloads based or, activation, CPAs. It's we're very metric driven. So that's kind of give us the formula of like which creators we're gonna recommend for the brand. And usually getting to access the audience of the creators really precisely give us a little bit more of like direct return. Because when you, as a brand, you're looking for a creator that produces content for, we'll say, a shaving cream, but you pick a guy that has 70% of an audience that is female, it's not going to work. That shaving cream has to impact the audience of male. So we need to pick creators that have at minimum 60 to 70% of male audience to get the conversion from brand awareness to purchases and to seeing the product in the store and recognizing from a creator that they're watching.
That's great. When you say peace of mind and time savings, I mean, that's music to the ears of most founders or most brands or companies. It's a lot to manage people that aren't direct employees of yours, and then you have to hope they're doing what you expect them to do and ultimately get a good result. So it sounds like you handle a lot of that minutia in the middle, which is, I think, really worth a lot of money. That's great. When you started the company and where it is today, what's the mission that you tell your audience, that you tell your employees, that you tell your clients about what inCast, Funcast, and Rainmaker, they might have different missions, but at the end of it, what's the core mission of what you bring to the market?
Accountability. When you work with creators, you have no accountability that the creator will produce the content and he will show up. So we, as a company and my team, if a creator doesn't show up, we need to have 5 or 10 other options for a client that will show up. So we call it results driven for a reason. Like at the end of the day, that marketing person needs to show up at the meeting with the reports in hand, and that's what we're going to offer. So our mission is be safe. We're here for you, and us is accountable to present to the results.
That's great. I love it. Can you give me a specific use case of a brand? You talked about TikTok and talk about a product. If you can share that so that the listeners know clearly this is a project you worked on, and here's a specific outcome that came from that project.
It's it's a very organic and also a startup. So I think it's a good case for startups that want to work with creators. And a lot of times we work with projects that are paid. We have performance and we have seeding. Seeding is when we send creators gifts or the product they can test out, they can write reviews, and they can post organically or not. So there was a specific company in South America called Salve. It was created by a big blogger, Julia Petit. She's a celebrity and actress. And with her product, we sent out 200 units, and we had 80% of the creators posting organically. So if the band, or let's say they would pay $100,000, but that project cost them $30,000 because that was organic feeding. And our community management team were engaging with the creators to make sure that they would post. And it's very difficult to do that as a marketing strategist inside of the company. Like even Salve, they kept repeating the 200 new creators for over a year because they knew they would have 80% retention. And if they would pay that, it will cost 3 times more. So the strategy of sending seeding and then following up, and we have an internal tool called inCast Tracker, tracks all the posts for all the creators that we send gifts. So organically, if they post with the hashtag of Salvi or what we write on a card when we send the gifts, it's what they post, and then our tool is tracking in real time, so we can amplify the reach. And then I think when we talk about TikTok case, successful case, we built growth in content. So when TikTok was converting Musical.ly into TikTok, the main strategy was to age up the audience. So in the future, they would monetize, and they're monetizing really well today. But back in 2018, we had this strategy of growth where we're inviting creators in bulk, 300, 500 creators in different verticals, pets, food, beauty, cars, games, entertainment. So we're building TV channels for people that didn't know that TikTok existed and hooking them into coming back for more. So there's a big data that's very important for app companies, which is daily active users. I can have millions of users. If they're not coming back daily on a daily active users, then they can't really set up the growth strategies in the long run, right? So that's kind of like then a lot of companies are looking for investors. That's one of the number ones, numbers of users, and then number of active users, and then traction in terms of, how much then they're spending within the app. And then we see now TikTok monetizing on live streaming. So creators can live stream for hours, engage their audience, and they get paid by the audience, and also on kind of like an AdSense that YouTube worked for a very, very long time with YouTube creators and, giving an opportunity for creators to monetize. But from the TikTok perspective, they're paying per video. So we have 300 creators producing 20,000 pieces of content every single month. And the engagement was always up and creators were gaining followers. So if you see a Tony Hawk, we onboarded Tony Hawk into TikTok. He had 0 followers. I looked at the other day, I think he's at 3.5 million or 5 million.
Amazing.
He's just huge. And he's getting sponsored deals now, on a weekly basis, which is fantastic to see.
That's incredible. I love that. There's been a lot of breakthroughs recently in AI, and platforms and companies are embedding it, trying to figure out how they could take advantage of some of those breakthroughs. Do you see AI as part of your platform strategy, part of the roadmap? Is it already part of your platform? Where do you think that plays a role in inCast or your other companies?
Yes. When it comes to inCast, a lot of the demand to have creators building content with AI is just to have consistency. And consistency and repetition in the marketing world is where, we take 28 impacts in order for the brand to be remembered and recognized. So when we're working with creators and technology using AI to bring that experience, we reduce the impact rate to get the brand recognized. And it's a very efficient way to replicate the content en masse and having the brand more, exposed with the organic way of having the creators to create organic and AI content. There is a roadmap for us to put AI into Rainmaker and offer to our clients to, edit the content and put their logo and kind of special features into the content, but it's not available yet. I think also ChatGPT, I think is something that will help brands and creators not only debrief the creators about the brand, but also creators to have the ability to create the caption for a post much easier. It takes time to think, and if you don't know much about the brand, you need to study. So, you can use a chat that can help you to just come up with a very beautiful, caption for your post. Just, it's more engaging, and the brand has more of their slogan, more of their, what we call content into the post. It's not the basics. It's more in depth.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it seems like AI is really helping the creator community in a big way with maybe not the end result, but really keeping the creative thoughts going and being able to pull ideas from, I think they call it like white paper, mental blocks or whatnot. But anyway, that's great to hear. I can see that really having an impact in a product like yours. As the leader of inCast and your other companies, what motivates and inspires you? And how do you maintain that sense of motivation and inspiration?
I think inspiration getting to inspire other people as well inspires me, but to get the job done, right? It's like each project it's challenge. We need to start and finish, and at times we have thousands of creators of specific projects. I think inspiration of getting the job done more than the financial reward is just the getting completion, and of course one day hopefully maybe selling the companies and retiring. I think every startup is different. We want the end results, really, but the journey is what inspires me a lot. I think teaching people, motivating, talking to clients. When we convert a new client to the house, it's always excitement, and we have weekly meetings with the entire team. It's rewarding. Just getting the energy from the kids too, from the people that are working with us.
Yeah, that's great. As entrepreneurs, we've started companies, some have made it, some haven't, trials and tribulations. Can you talk about a time as an entrepreneur where you felt like you had failed and what you learned from that experience?
I think it's very recently. We're in April now. January and February are the very hardest months for advertising industry and for influencer marketing. Maybe other companies can say otherwise, but for us was always. And we need to keep the team engaged, but the marketeers don't have the strategic planning, so they're not spending. And it's very tough. The last Q2, I invested a lot of energies into the automation, into Rainmaker. And so when it comes to like end of the year and then January, February, we're like, okay, so the business didn't have the fuel for inCast to self-sustain. It was never a thought of like, oh, I have to close everything down because I know we always, go up the next months and things started already. Like we have new clients in house and the existing clients booking more creators. It's just a little bit of the loneliness and decision making and cutting costs. You see, Facebook firing 5,000 people at bulk. Like, thank goodness we didn't have to fire anyone here. But it's the responsibility of maintaining the business where you see that the entire ecosystem of, not only technology, but advertising industries, like they're, cutting back in costs and then cutting back into employees and expenses. And we just need to keep going.
Yeah, got it. The resilience, even when the times are bad, you have to keep a focus on where things are going to go, where you've been before, and things do turn around if you keep doing the little things and keep the focus, keep grinding away, keep inspiring, keep leading. So that's great to hear. We help some of the best startups scale, and everyone always asks us as they build their engineering teams, whether it's in the US or outside, we want diversity candidates. We want to talk to people that are from, different cultures, different genders. Talk to me about your experience with the nonprofit Girls in Tech in Brazil, and what's your role there?
I was a mentor. So Girls in Tech is an organization that is global. And here in Brazil, I met the local girls. They were representing Europe and I think was more like France and Italy in a specific. And they were incubated inside of Kubo. Kubo is a innovation center powered by Itaú Bank, which is the biggest Brazilian bank, and just gave us, or me, the sense of empowerment with other women trying to do what we're doing. And at times we manage tech teams or men, and at times we don't have things being delivered on time. When you talk about tech, right, we have, sprints of development, but there's delays, and you need to I think to be able to manage the project as we do with creators, but with the tech team, with efficiency and with due diligence. And it just gave me a little bit more structure and empowerment. And also I learned how to speak in public with Girls in Tech. So we had little groups where we're going there together and talking at different teams on a weekly basis. And that was like superb. That was the fuel of, continuing to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you've had a long journey from Brazil to LA and traveled the world, it sounds like, in parts of your career. You've had an amazing career and you have amazing startups. I didn't know you had 3. I thought there was 1 to 2, but inspiring to know you can handle that much as a founder. If somebody wants to find your company, inCast, me, or Funcast, where can they go?
Hi, please email me. I respond to every single email that gets to me, which is vera@.me. So vera@incast.me. I can give you tips of how to work with creators. We can create a free proposal. We can sit for a coffee here in Sao Paulo or in LA or in New York, wherever we are in the world. And I have a great team that can help you guys to create fantastic strategies and effective strategies with creators worldwide, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And also would love to get a mentor in terms of growth for tech. You mentioned that you have that expertise. I'd love to talk further as we launch a new product, which is more, it's a product marketing driven, right? Different than what we do in relationship-based people. We need growth hackers. We need really to focus on marketing strategies, not only with creators, but SEOs and other things too, to make Rainmaker a known tool for creators.
Well, I love the Rainmaker idea, and I think there's a lot to be said about a self-serve application that could take the bottleneck out of the process and open up opportunities for people that are sitting at home that might have a need for a tool like that. So really excited to keep learning about that product in your journey there. I think we have some companies we can connect you to that might need your current product, and we'll keep plugging away. Love to have you back on for an update. Definitely keep in touch.
Let's do it. Let's do a challenge, 60-day challenge. How many users can we get? Daily active users, and all the the data that investors are looking for, and then we can start having later in the year investors meetings. I think it'll be fantastic.
I love it. Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining here today. That's all for our episode. We will continue plugging away. Vera, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate your time, and good luck here in the coming days.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, I want to give a big shout out to all the entrepreneurs that have joined to make this podcast possible, and for all the listeners for listening. It means the world to me that you chose to spend your time with us today. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, signing off for now, but can't wait to connect with you all soon on the next episode. Take care. This show is sponsored by Match Relevant, a company that helps venture-backed startups find the best people in the market, and they do it in 3 simple steps. First, they sit down with founders to understand their story. Second, they tell their story into multiple candidate channels. And third, they schedule interviews within 48 hours. Find us at matchrelevant.com to learn more about how we do it.